The Entrepreneur's Gambit: Why 96% of businesses are doomed to fail. Here is a cold, hard fact, a truth that hangs over the world of business like a storm cloud. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, roughly 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years of being open, 45% during the first 5 years, and a staggering 65% during the first 10 years. Only 25% of new businesses make it to 15 years or more. Think about that. 3 out of every 4 people who pour their heart, their soul, their life savings into a dream will see it crumble within a decade. Why? What is this invisible force, this silent killer that strangles so many dreams in the cradle? Is it a lack of passion? A lack of hard work? No. The graveyards of business are filled with passionate, hardworking founders. The real reason is far more subtle and far more insidious. It's a trap. A trap that nearly every single entrepreneur falls into without even realizing it. A trap called commoditization. It's the simple, deadly idea that to win, you have to be cheaper. That to get more customers, you have to slash your prices, offer more for less, and join a brutal, bloody race to the bottom. A race where the only prize is working yourself to the bone for razor-thin margins, forever teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Does that sound familiar? This is the reality for millions. But what if I told you there's another way? A path that doesn't just help you survive, but allows you to thrive beyond your wildest dreams. In this audiobook summary, we will embark on a journey. We will dissect the masterpiece of entrepreneurial strategy. 100 Netter Offers: How to Make Offers So Good People Feel Stupid Saying No, by Alex Hormozi. Together, we will uncover the psychological triggers and strategic frameworks that allow you to escape the commodity trap forever. We'll explore how to craft what Hormozi calls a grand slam offer, an offer so compelling, so packed with value, that it creates its own category, making price comparison impossible. You will discover how to charge premium prices, not by being slightly better, but by being fundamentally different. You'll learn to manipulate the levers of value, scarcity, urgency, bonuses, and guarantees, to build a tidal wave of demand for your products or services. This isn't just about making more money. It's about building a business that gives you freedom. Freedom from financial stress, freedom to make a massive impact, and the freedom to live life on your own terms. But who is Alex Hormozi, the man behind these revolutionary ideas? He isn't some silver spoon academic. His wisdom was forged in the fires of near-total failure. A former gym owner, Hormozi found himself at rock bottom. As he tells it, on Christmas Eve of 2016, he was living in his girlfriend's parents' house, his business accounts frozen, with just over $1,000 to his name after paying his last employee. He was, by his own admission, a sinking ship. He had nothing. But what he did have were 2 things: a woman who believed in him and the early blueprint for a grand slam offer. From that point of desperation, using the very principles outlined in this book, Hormozi scaled his company, Gym Launch, to over $120 million in sales in just a few short years. He went from being unable to pay his bills to earning over $1 million in profit per month. He didn't get lucky. He didn't stumble into success. He engineered it. He cracked the code. And in 100 Netter Offers, he hands us the keys. So in this detailed summary, we're not just going to skim the surface. We will dive deep into the core mechanics of his system. We'll start by dissecting the disease of commoditization and understanding why picking the right market is the first step to a cure. Then, we will spend the bulk of our time constructing a grand slam offer from the ground up, using Hormozi's powerful value equation as our guide. Finally, we'll learn how to wrap that offer in layers of psychological persuasion to make it truly irresistible. Are you ready to stop playing the game and start changing the rules? Are you ready to discover how to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no? Then let's begin. The Great Deception. Escaping the race to the bottom. Imagine you're walking through a marketplace. Two stalls, side by side, are selling apples. They look the same. They feel the same. They probably taste the same. One is selling them for $1, the other for 90 cents. Which one do you buy? The cheaper one, of course. Why wouldn't you? When two things are identical, the only logical differentiator is price. This right here is the essence of the commodity trap. The moment a potential customer looks at your product or service and thinks, "This is basically the same as that other thing. I'll just get the cheaper one," you've lost. You've been commoditized. And how devastating is that? You've poured your expertise, your unique perspective, your late nights and early mornings into what you do, only for someone to reduce it all to a price tag. Most entrepreneurs, with the best of intentions, walk right into this trap. What do they do when they start a business? They look at the competition. They see what everyone else is charging, and they price themselves somewhere in the middle, or maybe a little bit lower, to be competitive. They think they're being smart. They think they're being strategic. But what are they really doing? They are copying businesses that are, in all likelihood, completely broke. Does that make any sense? You see, a marketplace, left to its own devices, is a brutal force of efficiency. New competitors enter, offering a little more for a little less. The bar keeps getting lowered. The margins get squeezed tighter and tighter until the business owners are left with just enough to keep the lights on. Just enough to justify the agonizing hours. Just enough to become a well-paid slave to their own creation. They're not building freedom. They're buying themselves a job, and a terrible one at that. Working 100 hours a week just to avoid working 40 for someone else. This is what Hormozi calls the race to the bottom. And here's the kicker. It's a race you can't win. There is absolutely no strategic advantage to being the second cheapest in the market. The cheapest guy might get the volume, but at what cost? And you, the second cheapest, you get nothing. You're just another apple in the barrel. But what if you weren't an apple at all? What if, right next to that stall of 90-cent apples, you set up a stall selling a vibrant, exotic-looking orange? An orange that promised a completely different experience. Now, the customer can't compare. They can't say, "This is cheaper." The decision is no longer about price. It's about value. It's about the unique promise the orange makes. This is the fundamental shift in thinking at the heart of 100 Nellerst offers. Your goal is not to compete. It is to make competition irrelevant. Your goal is to create an offer so unique, so differentiated, that you exist in a category of one. When you do that, the purchasing decision for the prospect is no longer between you and your competitor. It's between your unique solution and doing nothing at all. And in that space, my friend, you get to set the price. You get to dictate the terms. You regain control. Let me show you how powerful this is in the real world. Hormozi provides a stunning example of a lead generation agency. The old commoditized way, they charge a retainer, say $1,000 a month, to run some ads and generate leads. They're one of a million agencies doing the exact same thing. Their marketing looks the same, their promises are the same, and they're constantly fighting over price. With a $10,000 ad spend, they might generate 5 new clients, collecting $5,000 up front. They've just lost money to acquire customers, hoping to break even in month 2. It's a slow, painful grind. Now follow this logic. What if that same agency created a grand slam offer? What if, instead of saying, "Pay us to work," they said, "Pay us only when people show up for an appointment. There is no monthly retainer." We will not only generate the leads, but we will work them for you. And we guarantee you get 20 qualified appointments in your first month, or you get the next month completely free. On top of that, we'll give you our entire playbook, our tested scripts, our pricing strategies, our sales coaching, for free, just for becoming a client. Do you see the difference? It's not an apple anymore. It's a completely different fruit. The risk has vanished for the client. The value is immense. And what happens to the numbers? It's astonishing. With the same $10,000 ad spend, because the offer is so much more compelling, their response rates more than double. Their closing rates more than double. And because the value is so high and the structure is different, they can charge a much higher one-time fee, say $4,000. The end result? That same $10,000 in ad spend doesn't bring in a measly $5,000. It brings in over $112,000. A 22-fold increase in upfront cash collected. This isn't a fantasy. This is the mathematics of a Grand Slam offer. They went from losing money to acquire a customer to getting paid handsomely to acquire a customer. When that happens, cash is no longer your bottleneck. Your only constraint becomes your ability to deliver the amazing service you love providing. Can you feel how that changes everything? This isn't just a small tweak, it's a new paradigm. It's walking away from the explosion in slow motion. It is the first and most crucial step towards building a business that serves you instead of the other way around. The hot dog stand secret. Why your offer is useless without this one thing. Before you rush off to build your Grand Slam offer, there's a crucial detour we must take. It's a lesson so fundamental that without it, even the most brilliant offer in the world will fall on deaf ears. It's the difference between pushing a boulder uphill and rolling it downhill. It's the story of the hot dog stand. A marketing professor once asked his class, if you were going to open a hot dog stand and you could only have one single advantage over your competitors, what would it be? The students shouted out answers. The best location, the highest quality hot dogs, the lowest prices, the best taste. They went on and on, covering every conceivable business advantage. Finally, the room fell silent. The professor smiled and delivered the life-changing secret. A starving crowd. Think about that. You could have the worst-tasting hot dogs, a terrible location, and sky-high prices. But if you're the only food vendor in sight when a stadium full of 50,000 hungry football fans pours out, you're going to sell out. You will make a fortune. Why? Because you have what everyone desperately wants. You have a starving crowd. This is the power of market selection. And you will never guess what happens when you get it wrong. Alex Hormozi shares the cautionary tale of his good friend, Lloyd. Lloyd was brilliant, a natural salesman with a fantastic offer. He had a software business that helped newspapers monetize their websites. A pure value add, where he only took a percentage of the new revenue he created for them. It was a zero-risk, Grand Slam offer. Yet, his business was slowly dying. He tried everything. He tweaked the product. He refined his sales pitch. He motivated his team. But nothing worked. He was banging his head against a wall, completely baffled. The problem wasn't his product, his offer, or his skill. So, what was it? Can you guess? He was selling to newspapers, a market that was shrinking by 25% every single year. He was trying to sell the world's best life raft to passengers on a ship that was already at the bottom of the ocean. The market itself was the source of his failure. But here's the fascinating part. When the pandemic hit, Lloyd pivoted. He applied his exact same skill set to a brand new venture, automated mask manufacturing. A market with insatiable, desperate demand. Within 5 months, he was doing millions of dollars a month. Same entrepreneur, different market. That is the raw power of a starving crowd. So how do you find one? How do you ensure you're not selling ice to Eskimos? Hormozi lays out a simple, 4-part checklist. This is your compass for navigating the market landscape. First, massive pain. Your target market shouldn't just want your solution. They must desperately need it. Their problem should be a constant, nagging source of frustration. The greater the pain, the higher the price you can command. As Hormozi says, the pain is the pitch. If you can articulate someone's pain better than they can, they will automatically assume you have the solution. And second, purchasing power. This sounds obvious, but it's a trap many fall into. A friend of Hormozi's created a brilliant system for helping unemployed people fix their resumes. He was great at it. The market had massive pain, but there was one tiny problem. You know what it was? His target customers were unemployed. They had no money. Your audience must be able to afford what you're selling. Don't be romantic about who you serve. Serve the people who can pay you what you're worth. Third, easy to target. Let's say your perfect customer exists, but they're scattered to the four winds, like needles in a global haystack. How do you get your offer in front of them? It becomes incredibly difficult and expensive. A great market is one where your customers are already gathered together. Do they belong to specific associations? Follow certain social media channels? Subscribe to the same magazines? If you can easily find them, you can efficiently market to them. And finally, fourth, it must be a growing market. This is the tailwind that makes everything easier. Business is hard enough without fighting a headwind every single day. Lloyd's newspaper story is the perfect example. He was in a dying market. You want to be in a market that's expanding, where new customers are constantly entering. This momentum will carry you forward. These four pillars, pain, purchasing power, easy to target, and growing, are your guide. But here's where it gets really interesting. Hormozi points out that there are three eternal markets that will always exist because they tap into our deepest human pains: health, wealth, and relationships. Almost every successful business falls into one of these three categories. Your job is to find a niche, a smaller, specific subgroup, within one of these buckets that ticks all four boxes. For example, instead of generic relationship coaching, what about relationship coaching for recently divorced men over 50? Let's check the boxes. Pain, immense. Purchasing power, likely high. Easy to target? Absolutely. Growing? Yes, as populations age. It's a perfect niche. The riches are in the niches. Why? Because specificity allows you to speak directly to your customer's soul. And you'll never guess how much more they're willing to pay for it. A generic time management course might sell for $19. But what if you call it time management for sales professionals? Suddenly, it's worth $99. Let's go deeper. Time management for B2B outbound sales reps. Now, it's a $499 product. One more level. Time management for B2B outbound. Power tools and gardening sales reps. Boom. That same course with a few tailored examples could now sell for $1,997. It's the exact same core information, but because it's perceived as being exactly for them, its value skyrockets. This is not a trick. It's about creating resonance. Once you pick that niche, Hormozi's advice is simple and brutal. Commit. Don't be niche-slapped, jumping from one market to another the moment you face a challenge. The grass is never greener. Success comes from failing, iterating, and mastering one market until you succeed. Pick one, and commit to finding your starving crowd within it. Hey there, do you like this audio summary? Then take 2 seconds of your time and click on subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. With this simple action, you will receive many more free high-quality summaries every single week. You can also send us your appreciation with a simple like on this video. Thank you, and let's go on. The Alchemist's Secret, the moral case for outrageous prices. I want you to imagine a scene. It's January 2019. Alex Hormozi has just hosted a massive event for his highest-level clients, the Gym Lords, every single one of whom pays him $42,000 a year for his coaching. He posts a picture online of the huge crowd, all sporting his signature mustache. The next day, he gets a call from his father. And the tone in his dad's voice isn't congratulatory. It's concerned. "Son," he says, "I saw the picture. Every single person in that room paid you $42,000? "Yeah, wild, right?" Alex replies. There's a pause, and then his father asks a question that hits like a punch to the gut. "Is what you're doing legal?" Think about that for a moment. He had become so successful, was charging so much money, that his own father's mind couldn't comprehend it. His brain stretched so far past its concept of what was possible, that the only explanation it could find was that something illegal must be happening. This is the psychological barrier that premium pricing creates. It breaks people's minds. And it's a barrier most entrepreneurs are terrified to even approach, let alone cross. We are conditioned to believe that charging a lot of money is greedy, that it's unfair, that it's taking advantage of people. Hormozi argues the exact opposite. He makes a powerful, compelling, and what I believe to be a profoundly moral case for charging premium prices. He calls it the virtuous cycle of price. Here's how it works. When you raise your prices, something magical happens. First, your clients become more invested. When someone pays a premium price for something, they pay attention. That little sting of the investment forces them to take it seriously. They show up. They do the work. They are emotionally and financially committed to getting a result. Second, their perceived value of your service skyrockets. Think about the blind wine taste test. Researchers gave tasters the exact same wine 3 times, but told them one was cheap, one was mid-priced, and one was expensive. Unsurprisingly, the tasters rated the expensive wine as tasting the best. Price, in and of itself, is a signal of quality. When you charge a premium, people automatically assume your service is better. They treat it with more respect. And what is the result of higher investment and higher perceived value? You guessed it, better results for your clients. Because they're committed and they believe in the process, they are far more likely to achieve the outcome they desire. You are literally helping them succeed by charging them more. Isn't that a fascinating paradox? But wait, there's more. By charging a premium, you attract the best clients. You repel the price shoppers, the complainers, the ones who are never satisfied. You attract people who respect value, who are serious about results, and who are a genuine pleasure to work with. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, what does that premium price do for your business? It gives you profit, it gives you margin, it gives you oxygen. With that margin, you can now afford to deliver a truly world-class experience. You can hire the best talent. You can invest in better systems. You can spend more on customer support. You can pamper your clients. You can deliver 10 times the value of your low-price competitors because you have the resources to do so. This is the virtuous cycle. Higher prices lead to better clients who get better results, which allows you to invest in providing an even better service, which justifies your high prices. It's an upward spiral of excellence and profitability. Now let's look at the alternative, the one most businesses are trapped in: the vicious cycle of price. When you lower your price, you attract the worst clients, the bargain hunters who have no loyalty and complain about everything. Their emotional investment is zero. It was cheap, so who cares if they use it? Their perceived value is low. It can't be that good if it's this cheap. And because they aren't invested and don't value it, what happens to their results? They get terrible results. And then they blame you. To make matters worse, with your prices slashed to the bone, you have no margin. You can't afford to hire great people. You can't afford to build better systems. You're constantly stressed, cutting corners, trying to squeeze blood from a stone. Your service quality inevitably declines, which leads to even more unhappy customers, forcing you to compete even more on price. It's a downward spiral into mediocrity, burnout, and failure. Which cycle do you want to be in? The choice is yours. Hormozi's argument is that if you truly care about your clients, if you are genuinely committed to getting them the best possible results, you have a moral obligation to charge a premium price. You must charge what you're worth. And as the legendary marketer Dan Kennedy said, there is no strategic benefit to being the second cheapest in the marketplace, but there is for being the most expensive. Being the most expensive creates a category of one. It makes a statement. It signals supreme confidence and supreme value. It forces a potential customer to stop and think, wow, this is so much more expensive. There must be something completely different going on here. And that right there is the beginning of escaping the commodity trap. So the question isn't, can I charge that much? The question is, how can I create so much value that charging that much is an absolute steal for my client? And the answer to that question lies in a simple, elegant, and profoundly powerful formula: the value equation. The four levers that control what people will pay. All right, we've established why you need to charge a premium. Now we get to the fun part. How? How do you build an offer that justifies that premium price? How do you create so much value that your price, no matter how high, feels like a bargain? Alex Hormozi distilled the answer down to a single, brilliant formula he calls the value equation. This equation is the master key that unlocks unlimited pricing power. Once you see it, you will never be able to unsee it. It will operate in the background of your mind, analyzing every offer you ever encounter. It is a new lens through which to see the world of commerce. Here is the equation. It has four parts. The top of the equation represents the things you want to increase. The bottom represents the things you want to decrease. Value, dream outcome, X, perceived likelihood of achievement. Time delay, X, effort and sacrifice. Let's break this down. These are the four fundamental drivers of value for any product or service in existence. The first driver on top is the dream outcome. This is the what. What is the result, the feeling, the experience your prospect desires? Our goal here is not to create desire. That's impossible. Human desires are ancient and unchanging. People want to be wealthy, healthy, loved, respected, to have higher status. Our job is simply to tap into an existing desire and clearly articulate the dream outcome our offer provides. We are selling the vacation, not the plane ticket. We are selling the six-pack abs, not the gym membership. The clearer and more compelling the dream outcome, the higher the value. Our goal here is to increase this. The second driver on top is the perceived likelihood of achievement. This is the magic ingredient so many people miss. It's one thing to promise a dream outcome. It's another thing entirely for the prospect to believe it will actually happen for them. People pay for certainty. How much would you pay to be a surgeon's 10,000th patient versus their very first? A lot more, right? The service is the same, but the perceived likelihood of success is worlds apart. Testimonials, case studies, statistics, and powerful guarantees all serve to increase this perception. The more certain a prospect feels that they will achieve the result, the more they are willing to pay. Our goal is to increase this. Now for the bottom of the equation, the things that destroy value. The third driver is time delay. This is the time between when a customer pays and when they receive the promised benefit. The longer they have to wait for their result, the less valuable the offer becomes. People will pay an enormous premium for speed. Think about it. Why does FedEx exist when the US Postal Service is cheaper? Because when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight, we pay for speed. Why do people pay for Uber when they could walk for free? Speed and convenience. The more you can shrink the time it takes for your client to get a result, or even a small, early win, the more valuable your offer becomes. Our goal is to decrease this, and the fourth and final driver is effort and sacrifice. This is the cost to the customer beyond money. What do they have to do? What hassles do they have to endure? What do they have to give up? Let's take weight loss as an example. The effort and sacrifice of going to the gym 5 days a week, giving up your favorite foods, and feeling sore all the time is immense. The effort and sacrifice of liposuction? You fall asleep and you wake up thin. This is precisely why someone will agonize over a $100 a month gym membership, but happily pay $25,000 for surgery, even though the dream outcome is the same. The less effort and sacrifice required from the customer, the more valuable your offer. Our goal is to decrease this. Now, here's why Hormozi structured this as a division equation. What happens when you divide any number by 0? The answer is infinity. So if you can get the bottom of the equation, time delay, and effort and sacrifice, to 0, you have created an infinitely valuable offer. Imagine clicking Buy on a weight loss product and instantly your dream body appears. No time delay, no effort. How much would that be worth? Everything. This is the theoretical limit we should always be striving for. The world's greatest companies obsess over the bottom of the equation. Amazon made buying effortless with one-click ordering and is relentlessly shrinking time delay with same-day delivery. Netflix made watching movies immediate and effortless. They understand that making things easy and fast is where the real value lies. But here's the most crucial insight of all. None of this matters if the customer doesn't perceive it. It's not about how much you actually decrease their effort. It's about how much they feel you are decreasing their effort. Perception is reality. Hormozi shares the brilliant story of the London Underground. The biggest increase in rider satisfaction didn't come from making the trains faster, which would have cost billions. It came from installing digital maps on the platforms that showed when the next train was arriving. This simple, cheap solution didn't change the actual wait time at all, but it dramatically decreased the perceived time delay and the psychological pain of waiting. It was a psychological solution to a logistical problem. This is the mindset of a master offer creator. You must constantly ask yourself, how can I increase my prospect's dream outcome? How can I increase their belief that they will achieve it? How can I decrease the time it takes for them to get it? And how can I decrease the effort and sacrifice required from them? By systematically addressing these 4 levers, you can engineer an offer with a value so high that your premium price becomes not just acceptable, but irresistible. The brick exercise, how to unlock your offer creation superpower. Before we dive into the nuts and bolts of building your Grand Slam offer, we need to prime your brain for the task. We need to shift your thinking from the rigid, linear way we were all taught in school to a more fluid, creative, and powerful mode of problem solving. This is the difference between convergent and divergent thinking. Convergent thinking is what you use for a math problem. You take a set of known variables and converge on a single correct answer. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. It's black and white, right or wrong. It's easy to grade. which is why our entire education system is built around it. But life, and especially business, is not a math problem. Business problems require divergent thinking. This is where you take a single problem and generate multiple possible solutions. There isn't just one right answer, there can be many right answers and one answer that is more right than all the others. This is the skill that life and the marketplace will pay you for. And this is the skill we need to build your offer. So, we're going to do a quick 120-second exercise to fire up the divergent part of your brain. It's called the brick exercise. I want you to grab a pen and paper or open a new note on your phone. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Your task is simple. Think of a single, standard red clay brick. Now, in the next 120 seconds, I want you to write down as many different uses for that brick as you can possibly think of. Ready? Go. All right, time's up. How many did you get? 5? 10? Maybe 15? Most people come up with a handful of common uses. Build a wall. Use it as a doorstop, a paperweight. Maybe break a window with it. But now let's engage our divergent thinking. Did you stop to question the assumptions about the brick itself? Who said the brick had to be standard size? What if it were the size of a sugar cube or the size of a car? Who said it had to be made of clay? What if it were made of gold, or plastic, or lightweight wood? What if it had holes in it, or was shaped like a Lego? Now, with those new possibilities, think again. How many more uses can you come up with? A gold brick is a store of value. A plastic brick could be a flotation device. A giant brick could be a bench. A tiny brick could be part of a mosaic. A brick with holes could be a pen holder or a planter. Do you see what just happened? By challenging the initial assumptions, we exponentially increase the number of potential solutions. This is the exact thought process you need to bring to crafting your offer. Your product or service is the brick. Most people only see a few obvious ways to use it, but the master offer creator sees 100. They see all the different ways it can be shaped, packaged, and combined to solve a multitude of problems for their ideal customer. Every Grand Slam offer is built from these smaller bricks, the individual solutions, bonuses, and guarantees that, when stacked together, create something far more valuable than the sum of its parts. Your job is not to find the one single right answer. Your job is to generate a massive list of possibilities, to think creatively and expansively about all the ways you can solve your customers' problems. Then, and only then, can we begin the process of trimming and stacking those possibilities into an offer so good, people will feel stupid saying no. This exercise wasn't just about a brick. It was about unlocking the creative superpower that lies within you, the one that will allow you to build the foundations of a truly remarkable business. The 5-step blueprint, assembling your Grand Slam offer piece by piece. All right, your brain is primed for divergent thinking. You understand the levers of the value equation. Now, it's time to get our hands dirty. It's time to follow the exact step-by-step process Alex Hormozi uses to construct a Grand Slam offer from scratch. This isn't abstract theory. This is a practical, repeatable blueprint. Step 1. Identify the dream outcome. We start here. Before you think about your product or what you do, you must think about your customer and what they truly desire. What is their ultimate destination? Remember, we're not selling the membership, we're selling the weight loss. We're not selling the course, we're selling the financial freedom. Hormozi gives the example from his gym days. He wasn't selling a 99-month boot camp, he was selling lose 20 older bees in 6 weeks. It's a clear, tangible, desirable outcome with a specific time frame. So, for your business, what is the client's dream outcome? Write it down. Be specific. Step 2. List the problems. This is where your divergent thinking comes into play. Once you know the dream outcome, your job is to identify every single obstacle, frustration, and limiting belief that stands in your customer's way. Think of yourself as their guide on a perilous journey. What are all the monsters and roadblocks they will encounter? Hormozi instructs us to be insanely detailed here. Think about what happens immediately before, during, and after they use your service. Let's stick with the weight loss example. The dream is to lose weight. What are the problems? Problem with buying food. It's confusing. I won't like the taste. It's expensive. It takes too much time. My family won't eat it. Problem with cooking food. I'm a terrible cook. I don't have time to meal prep. Cleaning up is a hassle. Problem with eating food. I'll feel hungry all the time. I'll have cravings. What do I do when I eat out at a restaurant? Problem with exercising. I'm embarrassed to go to the gym. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid of getting injured. I have no motivation. You'll notice these problems map directly back to the value equation. They are all related to likelihood of achievement. It won't work for me. Time delay. It will take too long. And effort and sacrifice. It's too hard. Your goal is to create a massive list. The more problems you identify, the more value you can create by solving them. Step 3. Turn problems into solutions. This step is elegantly simple. You take your huge list of problems and you reframe every single one as a solution. This becomes your checklist of promises. For every reason a customer might fail, you're going to provide a solution that guarantees they succeed. Problem: buying healthy food is confusing and expensive. Solution: a foolproof grocery guide that shows you how to buy delicious, healthy food for less than your current grocery bill. Problem: I don't have time to cook healthy meals. Solution: a collection of 5-minute recipes for busy parents that are both healthy and delicious. Problem: I don't know what to do when I eat out. Solution: the Dine Out and Slim Down guide that lets you enjoy social events without derailing your progress. Go through every single problem on your list and transform it into a solution-oriented promise. This list of solutions now forms the raw material for your offer. Step 4. Create the solution delivery vehicles. The how. Now we get tactical. For each solution promise you've made, how are you actually going to deliver it? This is where you brainstorm the what. What are the actual things, the checklists, the videos, the tools, the support calls that you will provide? Let's take the foolproof grocery guide solution. How could you deliver that? One-on-one. You could personally take the client grocery shopping. Small group. You could host a live virtual grocery store tour for a group of new clients. One-to-many. You could create a pre-recorded video, a downloadable PDF checklist, a calculator tool, or even pre-built Instacart shopping lists that they can order with one click. This is where you use Hormozi's Delivery Cube cheat codes to stretch your thinking. Will it be one-on-one, small group, or one-to-many? Will it be do it yourself, do it with you, or done for you? Will it be delivered via video, audio, or text, live or recorded? The goal is to generate a long list of potential delivery methods for every single solution. Be creative. Don't worry about cost or scalability yet. The goal here is pure possibility. Step 5. Trim and stack. You now have a gigantic menu of potential deliverables. It's time to curate your masterpiece. First, you trim. You go through your list and evaluate each item based on 2 simple criteria: its value to the customer and its cost to you, in time and money. You immediately eliminate things that are low value and high cost. Next, you eliminate things that are low value and low cost. They just add clutter What you should be left with are two categories: high value, low cost items, and high value, high cost items. The high value, low cost items are your bread and butter. These are often digital assets like checklists, templates, and pre-recorded trainings. They take a one-time effort to create, but can provide immense value to unlimited customers forever. The high-value, high-cost items, like one-on-one calls or personal support, should be used sparingly but strategically, as they pack a huge value punch. Now, you stack. You take all these high-value trimmed items and bundle them together into one cohesive, high-value offer. You give each component a sexy, benefit-driven name. You assign a monetary value to each piece to anchor its worth in the customer's mind. And then you present the total value, which should be massive, and contrast it with your much lower premium price. The final result is no longer a simple gym membership. It's the 6-week Little Black Dress transformation, which includes the foolproof bargain grocery system, $1,000 value. The Busy Parent 5-minute cooking guide, $600 value. The personalized Lick Your Fingers Good Meal Plan, $500 value. The Never Fall Off accountability system, $1,000 value, and so on. The total value might be over $4,000. But you're offering it today for only $599. Can you feel the difference? You have systematically dismantled every single one of your customers' objections and roadblocks. You have created an offer that is so comprehensive, so valuable, and so unique that it simply cannot be compared to anything else in the market. This is your Grand Slam offer, the art of persuasion. Turning a great offer into an irresistible one. You've done the hard work. You followed the blueprint and engineered a truly valuable Grand Slam offer. But a brilliant offer that no one knows about is like a tree falling in a forest with no one around to hear it. The final step is to wrap your offer in layers of psychological persuasion to enhance its appeal and compel people to act. Hormozi breaks this down into 5 key enhancers: scarcity, urgency, bonuses, guarantees, and naming. Scarcity. The fear of missing out. People want what they can't have. Scarcity is about limiting the quantity of your offer. When something is scarce, its perceived value skyrockets. Think of limited edition sneakers or a one-of-a-kind piece of art. Hormozi explains that the easiest and most ethical way to use scarcity is simply to be honest about your capacity. How many new clients can you realistically handle this month? 5? 10? Then that is your scarcity. We are only accepting 10 new clients for our program this month, and 7 spots are already taken. This does 2 things. It creates a real fear of missing out, and it provides powerful social proof. If 7 other people have already signed up, it must be good. Urgency, the reason to act now. If scarcity is about quantity, urgency is about time. It gives your prospect a reason to make a decision today, instead of putting it off until someday, which usually means never. A deadline drives decisions. Hormozi's favorite way to create ethical urgency is with rolling cohorts. For example, enrollment for our June cohort closes this Friday at midnight. The next opportunity to join won't be until September. This creates a real, believable deadline and has the added benefit of allowing you to onboard all your new clients together in a structured way. Bonuses, the "but wait, there's more" effect. A single offer is always perceived as less valuable than the same offer broken down into its component parts and stacked as bonuses. This is the secret of every infomercial ever made. You don't just sell one thing. You sell the core offer, and then you add, "but that's not all. If you order today, you'll also get..." And you stack on the bonuses, each with its own name and perceived value. Remember the solution bundles we created in the last step? Those are your bonuses. You present them one by one, continually increasing the value gap between what they get and what they pay, making the decision to buy easier and easier. Guarantees, the ultimate risk reversal. The single biggest objection to any sale is risk. The risk that it won't work for me. A powerful guarantee completely removes that risk from the customer and places it squarely on your shoulders. This demonstrates supreme confidence in your offer and can dramatically increase conversion rates. Hormozi outlines many types, but the strongest guarantees are conditional. If you do not achieve X result in Y time, then we will Z. The Z is the or what that gives the guarantee its teeth. For example, if you follow our system and don't get 20 qualified appointments in your first 30 days, we will not only refund your entire investment, but will also pay for your advertising costs ourselves. A guarantee this strong makes a prospect think, wow, they must be really sure this works if they're willing to risk that. It makes saying yes almost a no-brainer. Naming, wrapping your offer in magic. Finally, you need to give your offer a name that instantly grabs the attention of your ideal customer and communicates its core benefit. Hormozi provides the MAGIC formula for this. Make a magnetic reason why. Back to school special. Announce the avatar for busy moms. Give them a goal, to get a flat tummy. Indicate a time interval, in just 6 weeks. Complete with a container word. Listen, challenge, blueprint, intensive. You don't need all 5, but combining a few creates a powerful, specific, and compelling name that cuts through the noise. The 6-week flat tummy challenge for busy moms. It's infinitely more appealing than weight loss program. It's a different wrapper for the same gift, but the wrapper makes all the difference. By combining these 5 enhancers, you take your already valuable Grand Slam offer and you pour gasoline on the fire. You create a psychological force field that makes it incredibly difficult for your ideal prospect to say no. Your first $100,000 and the start of your freedom. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground. We've journeyed from the grim reality of the commodity trap to the exhilarating freedom of the Grand Slam offer. We've learned why we must reject the race to the bottom, why we must charge a premium, and how to build an offer so packed with value that the price becomes an afterthought. We've deconstructed the value equation and learned to assemble an offer, piece by piece, before wrapping it in the powerful psychological enhancers of scarcity, urgency, bonuses, guarantees, and naming. You now have the complete toolkit. You have the blueprint that took Alex Hormozi from the brink of bankruptcy to building a portfolio of companies doing over $100 million a year. And as Charlie Munger, the billionaire business partner of Warren Buffett, once said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it." Hormozi shares the emotional story of the moment he and his now wife Layla crossed that first $100,000 milestone. It wasn't just a number on a screen. It was validation. It was proof that the struggle, the doubt, the sleepless nights had all been worth it. It was the moment the dream became real. It was the first taste of true freedom. And that is the feeling that awaits you when you apply these principles. This journey's not easy. It requires courage to reject conventional wisdom. It requires creativity to see new solutions. And it requires resilience to try, fail, and try again until you succeed. But as Hormozi reminds us, if your offer doesn't work, it doesn't mean you suck. It means your offer sucks. And now you have the tools to fix it. You only suck if you stop trying. The world needs more entrepreneurs. It needs more people with the courage to solve problems, to create value, and to innovate their way to a better future. The principles in 100 mm offers are more than just business tactics. They are a philosophy for creating undeniable value in the world. And when you create that kind of value, the rewards are limitless. So don't just let this be another interesting audiobook summary. Take these concepts, apply them. Build your Grand Slam offer, test it, refine it. The freedom you're seeking is not on the other side of more hard work. It's on the other side of a better offer. This has been a deep dive into 100 mm offers by Alex Hormozi. If you found this summary valuable, I urge you to buy the full book. It is packed with even more detail, examples, and nuance that will only deepen your understanding. Continue your journey. Stay hungry. And go make an offer so good, people feel stupid saying no.